Putting together your dream Thailand trip can quickly become a planning nightmare. Where should you visit? What should you do? And where should you book your hotel? Well, I've spent over 9 years traveling around Thailand. And in this video, I want to simplify your travel planning by giving you the ultimate 2-week Thailand itinerary that you can just copy. In this video, I'll cover the 5 places you need to visit, a day-by-day breakdown of what to do and how to do it, as well as crucial tips that you need to know to put your trip together, like where to stay and the top mistakes people make when visiting. Most trips start and end in Bangkok, so it's important to get this part of your trip right. Planning a trip to Bangkok can be overwhelming. There's so much to see and do in the city that it's almost impossible to fit it all into one trip without exhausting yourself. But I've lived in the city for over 5 years now and helped many people plan their trips to the city, and this 3-day itinerary covers the best the city has to offer. This itinerary will cover the most iconic Bangkok landmarks that you need to visit, how to get the most out of the city's nightlife, and the best day trips to take from around the city. Day 1 is all about the most iconic Bangkok landmarks. Everyone wants to visit one of the famous Bangkok temples, right? But which ones are actually worth visiting? And what order should you visit them in? The first spot you should visit has been the official home of the Thai monarchy since the 1700s. And is known for being one of the most beautiful buildings in the country. Although it's not actually a temple, it is littered with Buddhist monuments, including the famous Golden Chedi. And the most famous statue is at the center of the palace called the Emerald Buddha. It costs 500 baht to enter and takes around 2 hours to explore. To beat the crowds, I suggest getting there around 8:30 a.m. when it opens. I would visit the palace first because it's the one that gets the busiest. The next landmark though is right next door, and it's home to the reclining Buddha, one of the largest and most famous Buddhist statues in the world, as well as a stunning garden temple filled with ornate towers called stupas. It costs 300 baht to enter and takes a little less than an hour to explore, and it's called Wat Po. At this point, you're probably going to be getting a bit tired after walking around in the Bangkok heat for a few hours. There are plenty of restaurants nearby, but don't just jump in any of them. If you've came all this way, you're going to want a meal with a view, one that overlooks the nearby Chao Phraya River. But the best temple in Bangkok lies on the other side of the river. You only have to take a short boat ride across for about 5 baht, and it will take you to a monument that combines aspects of Hindu and Buddhist culture. And it's defined by its towering prangs. And if you're keeping track, yes, this is called a chedi, this is a stupa, and this is a prang. If anyone can tell me what the actual difference is between them, let me know in the comments down below. What makes this temple stand out though is it lies peacefully on the side of the river. This temple is called Wat Arun and it costs 100 baht to enter. But you can't leave Bangkok without watching a brutal Muay Thai fight. But where is the best place in the city to experience Muay Thai? Well, there's one stadium that is by far the best in the city for tourists. This stadium is near the tourist spots, is the oldest Muay Thai stadium in the world, and has the best mix of international and Thai fighters. In fact, Bangkok is where all the best Muay fighters come to train, so I would recommend watching a fight here in Bangkok over anywhere else in the country. This stadium is called Rajadamnern Stadium, and it has fights on pretty much every night of the week. Tickets can be as low as 1,000 baht, but up to 2,500 for ringside seats. But if you want to experience Bangkok at its wildest, there's one street you need to check out. This street is world famous and was once the capital of the Southeast Asian backpacking scene. It's the place in Bangkok to drink a bucket of rum and eat a fried scorpion. This is Khao San Road, and it's one of the most popular places in the whole of Bangkok. Now I'm on record saying that Khao San Road is a bit much. It's a bit loud, a bit too busy, and sometimes a bit too mental. I'll be showing you the classier side of Bangkok later in the video, but for now I've got a few insider tips that will make your experience here much more enjoyable. Not too far from Khao San, there's another road with far better restaurants. It's still got plenty of bars too, but it's not a complete mosh pit like Khao San, and it's just a bit more fun. It's called Soi Rambutri, and it's the best to have a few drinks here before heading into the wilderness of Khao San Road. But to reach some of the most stunning sights in central Thailand, you have to venture a little outside the city. On day 2, I'm going to cover the most iconic day trips that you can take from the city of Bangkok. Everyone wants to experience the floating markets of Bangkok, right? But most tours take you to the tourist trap version. In fact, the traffic jams in these floating markets are almost as bad as in the city. My favorite floating market in the city is one of Thailand's oldest, and it has retained its charm and traditional atmosphere over the centuries. It has the best selection of food in any market in the city. You can watch as the vendors serve up meals right here in front of you on the boats. And this market is famous for its seafood. There's also a walkway for you to explore with plenty of restaurants and street food stands. This is the only floating market in the city that stays open through the evening, which means it's the only one you can enjoy watching the sunset with a craft beer. It's called Ampua Floating Market, and one of the best things about it is it is right next door to another of the city's most fascinating marketplaces, one that's placed right in the middle of a train track. When you come here, you have to time your trip right. About 4 times a day, trains actually pass through the middle of the market and vendors have to quickly pack up their wares to get out of the way. The market is incredibly narrow, with only a few feet of space between the train and the market stalls. So you have to be careful as the train passes through. Mekong Railway Market is one of the most unique markets in the world, and it's only about a 20-minute drive from Ampua Floating Market, so they can be done together. But did you know that Bangkok hasn't always been the capital of Thailand? Outside the city lays the ancient ruins of the former Kingdom of Siam. It's designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's the perfect place to learn about Thailand's past. These temples have stood for over 500 years and were once the residency of the Thai monarchy until the city was invaded by the neighboring Burmese in the 1700s. The city is best explored by bicycle, and it'll take a few hours to explore these ancient ruins. Traveling around the city, you can see the former Grand Palace where the royal family used to live, and you can learn about what life was like in Thailand in the early 1500s. One of the highlights is the Buddha head that has become entwined in the banyan tree. The head of this statue was chopped off by invaders, and as the city was abandoned, the tree grew around the head. The ancient city is known as Ayutthaya. It's free to visit, but you do have to pay entry into each temple, but they cost under about 50 baht each. But on the evening of day 2, it's time to experience the swankier side of Bangkok. What I love most about Bangkok's nightlife is that it has a cheap and hectic side, but also a much more upscale side too. One thing that Bangkok does better than any other city in the world is sky bars. Bangkok has one of the highest skylines in the world, and to fully take advantage of this, you need to grab a drink on top of one of the city's many skyscrapers. There are hundreds of sky bars in Bangkok to choose from. The majority of them are towards the Sukhumvit Road area. These are the best places in the city to watch the sun go down. One of the most exciting parts of visiting Bangkok is exploring its hidden corners. There's so much to see, and every street feels like it's hiding a secret. On day 3, you're going to try and cover as much of the city as possible, and there are 2 unique ways to really explore the city that will let you cover a lot of ground and give you a completely different perspective. Probably the most iconic image of the city is the tuk-tuk, but these 3-wheeled demons are notorious for psychotic drivers trying to rip off passengers. So how can you take one without getting ripped off? Well, personally, I think the best way to do it is a way that will allow you to see more of the city, have a set price beforehand so you know you're not going to get ripped off, and they won't be trying to do wheelies through busy Bangkok traffic. By taking a pre-arranged tour, you can guarantee that you won't get ripped off. These companies have an online presence so you can check reviews beforehand. But they'll also spend a set amount of time, usually a few hours, driving you around the city to see some of the best sights, including hidden temples, winding back streets, and colorful markets. But there's another side of the city that most tourists never see. Here you'll see a more authentic way of life, far away from the city's skyscrapers. Bangkok was once called the Venice of the East. Its extensive network of canals, known locally as klongs, spread out across the city. Today, many of the canals still exist, and traveling on a klong boat offers a unique view of the city, where you can witness traditional Thai houses on stilts, bustling floating markets, and serene temples. You can hop on public boats for as little as 50 baht. I'd recommend doing a klong tour that will take you to some of the hidden corners of the canals, including Wat Pak Nam, which is probably the best hidden gem temple in Bangkok. It has a golden Buddha which overlooks the canal. And yet, you guessed it, yet another Chetty Stupa Prang thing. Just don't, fall in the canal. It's full of fish, monarch lizards, and who knows whatever the hell else is lurking in there. But do you want to know where to get the best street food in Bangkok? In the evening of day 3, you can experience the single greatest street in Bangkok. In fact, this street has consistently been voted one of the coolest streets in the world. That's because of its neon light and delicious street food. The street is Bangkok at its most intense. The hanging street signs lurch across the road. There's honking horns and busy traffic, as well as huge crowds of people making their way through the winding streets. This area has the highest concentration of Michelin-recommended street food stands in the country and possibly even the world. This is Yaowarat Road, and it lies at the heart of Chinatown. This area is where the idea of street food carts was created, as the Chinese immigrants used to sell to each other on a lunchtime. I suggest taking a walk from one end of the street to the other and just grabbing a bit of what jumps out at you. Some places are going to be absolutely packed with people, so that will probably determine where you can actually eat. And try to eat only small portions, because you're going to want to snack on as many different things as possible. And right next to Yaowarat Road is one of the best bar streets in Bangkok, Soi Nana. Now, this is not to be mistaken for Nana Plaza, which is one of the seediest areas of Bangkok. Soi Nana is home to some of the best cocktail bars in the whole of Thailand. On this street, there are 4 or 5 different bars that have their own unique style. The bars here try to make custom-made creations that focus on using Thai and Chinese flavors. But one of the trickiest parts of putting together a trip to Bangkok is figuring out where to stay. With so many options, it's easy to end up in a chaotic tourist trap or near one of the city's many red light districts. After living here for 5 years, I've realized that there's no one-size-fits-all answer for where to stay. It all depends on what you want from your visit. Here are 4 of the top places to stay, in my opinion. If you're looking to experience some of the best street food in the country, you have to stay in Bangkok's Chinatown, especially around Yaowarat Road. This isn't just a street food paradise, it's also an area that is one of the most historically and culturally important, with lots of hidden temples to explore among its busy winding streets. For families, check out Prompong on Sukhumvit. This area not only has easy to walk on side sidewalks, but it also has green parks like Benjasiri and kid-friendly malls too. It's a safe, central location that has some family-friendly nightlife options too. If you're after a romantic getaway, or you want to stay in one of the finest hotels that the city has to offer, you can stay by the Chao Phraya River, which is home to the best views in the city and is home to hotels like Mandarin Oriental, the Hilton, and Shangri-La. And for nightlife, you can stay around the Asok area. This area combines upscale cocktail bars, fine dining, pubs, and iconic spots like Soy Cowboy. It's also probably the best connected place in the city in terms of public transport, so it's a great place to explore the rest of the city from. But after a few days in Bangkok, it's time to escape the city and get into Thailand's stunning nature spots. And we're going to start with a part of Thailand that is one of the most beautiful, but actually a lot of people skip over. The north of Thailand doesn't have any beaches, which is why it doesn't quite get as much love as the south, but it is absolutely stunning. And we're going to start with 3 days in the northern capital of Chiang Mai. Most people waste their time in Chiang Mai just wandering around in circles. But in just 3 days, you can experience its most incredible sights, temples, and nightlife like a pro. I visited Chiang Mai many times over the last 10 years, and this itinerary will show you how to make every moment count, including how to actually explore the old town without getting tired of all the temples, the most stunning nature spots just a short ride from the center, and where to find Chiang Mai's secret nightlife spots. Chiang Mai's old town is a must-see, but most people make one big mistake. They just wander around aimlessly, hoping to stumble on something interesting. But if you know where to go, this place is a gold mine of history, culture, and hidden gems. First, let's start the day right with coffee. And not just any coffee, Chiang Mai is home to some of the best in the world. Thanks to the perfect mix of altitude, soil, and rainfall, northern Thailand produces some incredible tasting coffee beans. If you're near Thapet Gate, you'll find some of the trendiest cafes in the city. Whether you want a strong espresso, a slow drip brew, or a creamy Thai iced coffee, this is the perfect way to start your day. Stop 2. Chiang Mai's old town has over 30 temples. That's way too many to see in one day. So let's focus on the 3 that truly stand out. But which are the best temples within the old town? In the heart of Chiang Mai's old town stands the ruins of what was once the tallest structure in the city, towering over everything at an impressive 82 meters. Built centuries ago, this ancient temple was a symbol of power for the Lana kingdom. But fate had other plans. A devastating earthquake struck, reducing its grand spire to rubble and forever altering the skyline of Chiang Mai. Despite its damage, the temple remains one of the most awe-inspiring sights in the city. This is Wat Chedi Luang, once the pride of the Lana kingdom, and still one of Chiang Mai's most breathtaking landmarks. But the next temple is known for its stunning golden stupa and its classic Lana-style architecture. If you come early in the morning, you might even catch monks receiving alms, a peaceful and a spiritual experience. This golden landmark is called Wat Phra Singh, and it's just a 10-minute walk from Wat Chedi Luang. But hidden in a quiet corner of Old Town is Chiang Mai's oldest temple, dating back to 1296. Beyond its ancient chedis and Lana-style halls, it offers something rare, a peaceful garden perfect for escaping the city's buzz. This is Wat Chang Man, and it's Old Town's most peaceful historic spot. Stop 3. As you explore, don't miss the ancient walls and moats surrounding the old town. They were originally built to protect the city and now make for some of the best photo spots in Chiang Mai. Thapet Gate is the most famous part of the wall, and depending on when you visit, you might catch street performers, live music, or even a cultural festival happening right here. Stop 4. The most unique massages in Thailand. After all that walking, you're gonna need to rest your feet. And Chiang Mai is home to some of the best and weirdest massages in the world. If you're on a budget, you can get a foot massage right on the street for about 200 baht, which is probably the cheapest out of anywhere I've ever seen in Thailand. But for a more unique experience, check out the ex-convict massage parlors. Now that might sound a bit strange, but most of the women here weren't hardened criminals. They were farmers. Northern Thailand is part of the Golden Triangle, which was once a major hub for opium production. Many locals were involved in the growing opium trade simply as a way to make a living. Today they've been rehabilitated and retrained as skilled massage therapists, turning their lives around, offering some of the best massages in the city. But there's another unique massage option: blind massage therapists. Some people say they actually give the best massages because of their heightened sense of touch, which helps them to find areas of stress in the body more effectively. And there are a number of massage parlors that focus exclusively on blind massages. But you can't leave the old town without trying the ultimate Chiang Mai dish. This is a rich coconut-based curry with egg noodles, usually served with chicken and topped with crispy fried noodles for extra texture. It's known as khao soi. It's creamy, spicy, and absolutely delicious, and you'll find it served all throughout the old town. Now, there are a number of places that claim to have the best khao soi in Old Town, and sometimes you'll see queues all the way down the street. But personally, I've never known these to be much better than the standard khao soi, which is absolutely delicious no matter where I've ordered it. But I have one more bonus stop for you. If you're in town on a Sunday, you're in for a treat, because that's when one of Thailand's best night markets takes over the old town. Starting around 4 p.m, the streets fill up with vendors selling everything from handmade crafts to some of the best street food in the country. Unlike some markets that focus only on souvenirs, this one has a little bit of everything. Whether you're looking for a unique gift or just want to snack your way through Chiang Mai, this is the place to be. But as night falls, it's time to experience a different side of Chiang Mai. While the city is known for its laid-back, no-frills nightlife, there's a hidden, upscale scene that most visitors miss. For a truly unique cocktail experience, head to Tub Bar, an intimate 12-seat spot where every drink is inspired by local villages surrounding Chiang Mai. Expect flavors you wouldn't find anywhere else in the world. Think coconut rum, garlic-based syrup, and even Thai mushrooms. With limited seating, it's best to get there early or make a reservation. But if fine dining is more your style, leave the old town and head towards the Mai Ping River, where Chiang Mai's best restaurants line the waterfront. For the ultimate experience, time your visit around sunset. The views over the river are some of the best in the city. But there is much more to Chiang Mai than just the old town. In fact, the real beauty of Chiang Mai lies beyond the city. Vast mountains, hidden waterfalls, and remote villages are waiting to be explored. On day 2, I'll show you the 3 best options for day trips from around Chiang Mai. About an hour's drive from Chiang Mai, deep in the misty mountains, lies a village famous for its stunning scenery and world-class coffee. Nestled among lush forests, this small community is home to the Karen ethnic group, who have lived here for generations. What makes this place so special? Nearly every house is built from a traditional wood, blending seamlessly into the landscape. The air is filled with the aroma of freshly roasted coffee, and as you climb the steep winding mountain path, you'll pass street food vendors selling local snacks. The best way to take it all in? Grab a coffee at a mountaintop cafe with panoramic views of the valley below, or sip your drink beside a peaceful waterfall, surrounded by nothing but the sound of flowing water. This is the town of Mae Kampong, one of northern Thailand's most charming and peaceful villages. But if you're up for a more active adventure, Thailand's highest peak is just a 2-hour drive away from Chiang Mai. This day trip takes you through dense jungle, hidden waterfalls and rice paddies, offering some of the most scenic trekking in the country. At the summit, you'll find the twin pagodas, built to honor the former king and queen of Thailand. On a clear day, the views stretch for miles over the misty mountains. But the real highlight is the trek itself. You'll hike through the cool, cloud-covered rainforest, home to rare plants and wildlife. And to end the trip, you'll visit a hill tribe where you can learn about the unique culture and traditions of the local people. This is Doi Inthanon, Chiang Mai's most famous trekking destination. But for the most varied and unforgettable day trip, you need to head north toward the town of Chiang Dao, a region known for its towering mountains, lush jungles, and hidden gems that most tourists never see. Start your day with a trip to Araksa Tea Garden, a picturesque plantation where you can walk through rolling green hills, learn how tea leaves are harvested, and even try your hand at picking them yourself. From there, you can make your way to Wat Ban Den, one of the most underrated temples in the whole of Thailand. Tucked away in the mountains, this hidden gem features intricately designed statues, striking blue rooftops, and a peaceful atmosphere that sets it apart from the more tourist-heavy temples. For a midday refresh, stop at the Sticky Waterfalls, or Boertown Waterfalls, a natural wonder where the limestone-covered rocks create a grip strong enough to let you walk up the waterfall without slipping. It's one of the most unique experiences in northern Thailand, and it's the perfect way to cool off. Before heading back, unwind at a natural hot spring, and finally, end your day in Chiang Dao, a peaceful town at the base of Thailand's 3rd highest mountain. As the sun sets behind the dramatic cliffs, you'll see why this spot is known for one of the most stunning golden hour views in Thailand. Miss this trip and you'll miss some of northern Thailand's most incredible experiences. But after a full day of exploring, it's time to dive back into the city's vibrant nightlife. If you missed the Sunday night market, check out the Night Bazaar, where vendors sell everything from handcrafted souvenirs to some of the best street food in Chiang Mai. Running every night, it's the perfect place to grab affordable gifts and sample local flavors and experience the city's lively evening atmosphere. If you want a truly unique way to end the night though, head to Chiang Mai's Muay Thai Stadium for an authentic Thai experience. There are a number of stadiums in the city, but this one is located conveniently by the Night Bazaar to the east of the old town. But on day 3, you need to really get to grips with the aspects that make northern Thailand so unique. No trip to Chiang Mai is complete without spending time with Thailand's national animal, the elephant. But there are sanctuaries all over the country, so why do you need to do it in Chiang Mai? Because northern Thailand is where elephants naturally belong. Unlike the southern islands or areas like Pattaya, this region has vast forests, rivers, and mountains, giving elephants the space they need to live as naturally as possible. Chiang Mai is also home to some of the most respected and ethical elephant sanctuaries in the country. Places that focus on rescue, rehabilitation, and conservation rather than the tourist entertainment. When you visit Chiang Mai Elephant Sanctuary, you're not just seeing elephants, you're actively supporting responsible tourism. Instead of riding them or watching them perform tricks, you'll get to feed them, walk them, or bathe with them in a way that respects their well-being. If you want to experience elephants the right way, this is the place to do it. But if you really want to understand northern Thai culture, you need to understand its cuisine. Unlike Bangkok or the islands, where food is more influenced by international flavors, Northern Thai cuisine has stayed true to its roots, with deep influences from Myanmar, Laos, and China. And that's why there's no better place in the country to take a Thai cooking class. Chiang Mai is surrounded by farmland and fresh markets, meaning almost every ingredient comes straight from the local area. Many cooking schools here even have their own organic gardens where you can pick fresh herbs and vegetables before you cook. Another reason Chiang Mai stands out, the variety of dishes. While pad thai and green curry dominate menus in the south, Northern Thailand has its own unique specialities that you won't find anywhere else. I've already mentioned how khao soi is one of the best dishes in the country, but there's also sai herbal northern sausages, or nam prik ong, spicy tomato with chili dip. Taking a Thai cooking class in Chiang Mai is an unforgettable experience. Chiang Mai is honestly one of my favorite places in the whole country. And what I like most about it is that it's a great base to explore the rest of Northern Thailand from. If you're longer than 2 weeks in Thailand, you might want to consider also visiting the backpacker town of Pai, which is about a 3-hour drive away through the mountains, or the temple city of Chiang Rai. In Pai, you can rent a motorbike and ride through the hills on one of the most scenic routes in the whole country. And Chiang Rai is home of 4 of the most beautiful temples in the country, as well as a trekking haven in the Golden Triangle. But here lies the biggest mistake most people make when visiting Northern Thailand: trying to do too much and overspreading themselves, leading them spending half the trip hanging around in bus stations. So, for the purpose of this itinerary, we're going to keep it simple and only visit Chiang Mai. So where is the best place to stay in Chiang Mai? Well, luckily, it's actually quite a simple answer to this question. Most guidebooks recommend staying in the Old Town. However, the Old Town kind of shuts down at night. I mean, Thai monks aren't famous for their all-night parties, are they? So if you plan on being awake after 6 p.m., it's better to stay a little outside the Old Town around Taipei Gate. This will give you easy access to the historic quarters, but also to the town's best bars and restaurants. But why do I recommend Chiang Mai before the country's beaches? Well, as you've seen so far in this trip, you've had a lot going on with every day packed with things to do. I tend to recommend doing Bangkok in the north first, because that's where you're doing most of the intense exploring, allowing you to wind down your trip towards the end once you reach the beaches. But the question is, which islands should you visit? The problem some people make when putting together their Thailand trip is that they try doing it all. Flying into Phuket, then catching a bus all the way across the country to then have to catch a boat to Samui, where they spend a few days before taking another boat to Koh Chang, which takes whole days of travel that could be better spent drinking a beer on the beach. Which is why we're going to stick to one group of islands, and we're going to start with Phuket. Planning a trip to Phuket but don't know where to start? Most travel advice about the island has people going to the same old overcrowded tourist hotspots and actually miss out on what makes the island really special. Luckily, I've spent months on the island, so I've managed to combine all of the best things to do into a 3-day trip. In this itinerary, I'll show you the best boat trips to take from the island, the most important cultural landmarks, as well as the best nightlife and street food spots. This is the only Phuket itinerary you'll ever need because it can easily be spread out over a week or more. One of the coolest things to do in Thailand is hop on a boat to explore secluded islands. And Phuket is home to some of the best boat trips in the country. The mistake most people make is trying to visit one of the most famous groups of islands as a day trip. The PP Islands are definitely worth visiting, but visiting from Phuket means you have to endure long travel times in a noisy speedboat, which leaves you with less time to explore each location that you'll visit on the trip. Luckily though, there are plenty more boat options that you can take that are much closer and just as stunning. The first boat trip that you can take will take you to some beautiful tropical islands. It can be done in a half day and has short travel time, so it's perfect for families with young kids or people who get seasick easily. Depending on your budget, you can easily do it for cheap in a group tour on a speedboat, or you can rent a private yacht to take you. The first stop is to one of the best snorkeling spots in the country. This is your chance to swim with clownfish, parrotfish, butterfly fish, and a whole lot of other fish that I don't quite know the name of. It'll then drop you off to explore the secluded Ratcha Island. This is home to some beautiful beaches, and because it's not on the main island, the waters are crystal clear here. Not much construction has taken place on the island, so it truly feels like a desert island. The final stop of boat trip 1 will take you to another stunning island that is a little bigger. Again, the beaches are stunning here, but this one does have a small bar and restaurant on it, so you can soak up the sun with a few beers. What fascinates me about this island is that it's inhabited by great hornbill birds, which are stunning birds native to Southeast Asia. The name of this island is Coral Island, and this trip is usually referred to as the Ratcha Island or Raya Island boat trip. But there is one boat trip that will take you to one of the most unique and fascinating places in the whole of Thailand. This trip is known for its dramatic limestone cliffs, emerald green waters, and its hidden caves. This trip is home to Koh Phanyi, a Muslim fishing village built on stilts over the water. The people here are known as the Sea Gypsies of Thailand, and they've been featured in a number of different travel documentaries about the country. The village is famous for its seafood restaurants and the floating football pitch created by local children. You can also explore the nearby mangrove forests, which are home to monkeys, birds, and fish. Your tour might take you through the winding rivers, but you can also explore it more peacefully in a canoe. Many of the islands in the bay have sea caves that can only be accessed by kayaking. Inside these caves, you'll find some hidden lagoons to explore. But the most iconic landmark has to be Koh Tapu, better known as James Bond Island, because it was featured in the 1974 movie The Man with a Golden Gun, and has been known as that ever since. This trip is usually called the James Bond Island Tour, and the area is known as Phang Nga Bay. This is the more adventurous tour and takes a full day to explore. After a full day exploring, it's time to enjoy a couple of beers. Phuket is home to one of the wildest nightlife spots in the whole of Thailand. It's part bar scene, part red light district, and part freak show. For some people, this is what they came to Thailand for. A few might be put off by it, but most people are going to be at least a little bit intrigued by the whole thing. The street lies just off Patong Beach, which is one of the more popular places to stay on the island. The main strip is filled with bars and nightclubs. As you head off the strip, you'll find the seedier parts of Thai nightlife like go-go bars and ping pong shows. This is Bangla Road, and it's Thailand at its wildest and most intense. Phuket is home to some of Thailand's most important cultural landmarks. On a day 2, you're going to visit the island's most important Buddhist monument, eat the best street food in southern Thailand, and drink Phuket's best cocktails. After a night of sin and debauchery on Bangla Road, it's time to repent. And what better way than by starting your day with a climb to the highest point of the island, to Phuket's most iconic landmark. You'll need to wake up early to avoid the Thai heat. Starting from Kata Beach, you'll watch the sunrise over the island before walking through Kata Town and following the signposts up the hill. Funnily enough, the name of this hill is Knackered Hill, and you most certainly will be knackered by the end of it. The climb takes about an hour to an hour and a half to complete. At the top, you'll be greeted by both monks and monkeys, so you might want to bring a few bananas to feed them. The monkeys, not the monks, I mean. Sitting on the top of the hill is Phuket's Big Buddha, one of the most important and iconic statues in Thailand. This statue is 45 meters tall and sits at over 400 meters above sea level, meaning you have stunning views of the island below. After the hike, you're going to be pretty hungry though. Luckily, Phuket has the best street food scene in southern Thailand. But where is the best place to eat on the island? Well, there's one place that stands out above everything else, and it's famous for its Michelin-starred street food stands, unbelievable dessert shops, and its beautifully decorated streets. The first thing you'll notice walking around here is that the houses have been painted in blues, greens, yellows, and pinks. These aren't your traditional Thai-style buildings. This area was originally founded by Portuguese explorers who were the first Europeans to reach Southeast Asia. The area is known as Phuket Old Town, and it's famous for its mix of European and Asian architectural styles, as you can see European colonial buildings right next door to Chinese-style temples. But you didn't just come here to look at buildings though, it's time to eat. This area has the highest concentration of Michelin-guided street food stands anywhere in Thailand outside of Bangkok. One of the most famous spots is Roti Tao Nam, which serves roti breads alongside Thai curries. There are also a number of noodle stands for you to try too. But it's not just Thai food this area is known for. The Old Town is home to some of the best dessert restaurants anywhere I've ever seen. Some of the cafes specialize in making their own chocolates, and Tori's Ice Cream is a boutique ice cream shop in an old colonial building. But for the nightlife on day 2, we're going to look at some of the classier options for a night out in Phuket. There's much more to this island's nightlife than ping pong shows and go-go bars. The Old Town itself has a number of live music bars as well as cocktails and whiskey bars, so you could even hang around here for the evening. But if you want to try the best cocktails in Thailand, you'll have to venture a little outside the Old Town. In fact, the alcohol itself is made right here at this rum distillery. Set in the middle of the island, Chalon Bay is a French-owned distillery that produces rum, gin, and vodka. The distillery itself is a beautiful venue, and in fact, I liked it so much that I actually had my wedding reception here. The boozy is so good, you'll probably end up leaving with a few bottles too. This is a much classier alternative to Bangla Road. But in Phuket, there's nothing quite like having a few beers to watch the sun go down over the ocean. But where are the best sunset bars on the island? Well, there's one group of bars and restaurants towards the southern tip of the island. They sit atop a cliff, so they have stunning views of the beaches and waters below. My favorite is Sabai Corner, which has delicious food, but all of these bars and restaurants are located near Karon Viewpoint. Phuket is the best place in southern Thailand to see Thailand's national animal, the elephant. However, the island is known for questionable practices related to animal welfare. So where can you ethically see and interact with elephants? Well, there are a few sanctuaries that are known to carefully look after their animals. A tour of these sanctuaries starts by learning about the animals from your guide, who works with the animal carers. You'll then be given a basket full of bananas and other fruits, and you'll be able to feed the elephants yourselves. And they'll be pretty hungry by the time you get there. Next up, it's bath time, and you'll get to bathe the elephants in a pool. Because Thailand is so hot, elephants like to cool themselves down by splashing themselves with mud, and you'll get to help them out by covering their bodies too. Make sure you don't dress up too much because you're going to get dirty. Afterwards, you'll need to scrub them down by giving them a shower. This works as a kind of massage for the elephant and it's good for their skin. The two sanctuaries that I recommend visiting are Green Elephant Sanctuary and Phuket Elephant Sanctuary. These half-day tours cost around 2,500 baht per person, and you can find a link where to book them below. One problem that some people have with Phuket is that some of its main beaches like Patong, Karon or Kata do sometimes get overcrowded. So in the afternoon, you're going to head to some of the best and most secluded beaches on the island, and you don't even have to travel that far to get to them. Just a short boat or scooter ride away from Patong is an excellent snorkeling spot with coral reefs just off the beach. You can rent snorkels or kayaks to explore the hidden coves. This is Paradise Beach and it's much smaller than its neighbor Patong, but does have an excellent bar and restaurant to chill out in. But if you really want an adventure, you need to head to the next beach. To get there, you'll need to hop on a long-tail boat or hike down the beach. In fact, the journey getting to this beach is part of the experience. This is one of the only beaches on the island that hasn't been developed for tourism, so you won't find any hotels or restaurants here. This is called Freedom Beach and it's a lot of people's favorite beach on the island. But because Phuket is the biggest island in Thailand, you need to choose the right place to stay. There's no quicker way to ruin your quiet and relaxing beach holiday than by staying right in the center of the red light district. Here's my guide for the top 5 places to stay on the island. Phuket. It's the biggest island in the whole of Thailand. And this presents first-time visitors with a problem. Where the hell should you stay on the island? In this travel guide, I'll show you the top 5 places to stay in Phuket, as well as the more popular places that you should actually avoid. In the video, expect to find out the best area for first-timers, the best areas for nightlife, for street food, for culture, and deserted beaches. Before we get started, there's a few things to note about the island of Phuket that might affect where you want to stay. Phuket can be whatever you want it to be. Because it's the biggest island in Thailand, it's also the most diverse in areas to stay. Now, sometimes Phuket gets criticized for being overcrowded or too touristy, and this might be true. However, this is concentrated on the southwestern part of the island. So if you're looking for something less touristy or less explored, there are other parts of the island you can stay on too. So it's important that you choose wisely where you want to stay to get the most out of your experience for what you want. It's also, in my opinion, worth exploring different parts of the island. I'm in a lot of Thailand Facebook groups, so I'm constantly seeing poorly put together itineraries. For example, where you might spend 2 days in Phuket before 2 days in Krabi, and then the whole way across the country to Koh Samui for another 2 days. You can see a lot more with a lot less travel time by spending a few days in Kata Beach, for example, and then moving across the island to Cape Panwa. Each of these locations will have a completely different vibe and atmosphere, meaning you'll spend more time actually enjoying your trip rather than spending time on buses, planes, and trains. Now I'm going to start by talking about the more touristy areas that most people are referring to when they talk about Phuket. These beaches include Kamala, Karon, Patong, Kata, and Kata Noi. I'm going to talk about Kata and Patong in a bit more detail in a second, but I want to give you a rundown of some of these other beaches, even though I don't quite recommend them. Let's start with Kamala Beach. Kamala Beach is one of the smaller beaches on the island, and this is the area for luxury resorts. If something you value is having a really high-class luxury resort, this might be the place for you. My problem with the area though is there's not much more to it than that. Once you step away from the beach, there's not a lot going on in terms of nightlife or street food, and the beach itself is not that impressive. The sand wasn't particularly nice when I visited there. On top of that, they know it's for luxury resorts, so prices tend to go up near here. Even if you're just buying a drink or getting a food, it's generally more expensive. Now to Karon, which is one of the longer beaches on the island, and I think it kind of suffers because of this. Because it's one of the longer beaches, it doesn't really know what it is, and it's the area on the island that has the least distinct atmosphere. It's neither as nice as Kata Beach nor as wild as Patong. A lot of the bars and restaurants are spread out, and there's just not that much to do over on Karon Beach. I've stayed here before and visited quite a few times, and I've always found it a little bit boring, so I also don't recommend Karon. Finally, to Kata Noi, similar to Kamala Beach, this also has a lot of high-end luxury resorts. However, it's a little bit quieter and a little bit nicer. I don't think it's a particularly interesting area to stay. However, if you're looking to stay somewhere near Kata Beach, but with a bit of a quieter atmosphere, this might be the place for you if you got the money for it. Kata Beach is, in my opinion, the best place to stay for most first-time visitors to the island. It's definitely in the touristy part of the island, but much less crowded than Patong, which I'll get to in a minute. But that's okay, that also comes with a lot of advantages. It's got some really good hotels, and there's lots and lots of things to do on this beach. The beach itself is really stunning. There's also a good mix of cheap and delicious Thai food and more upscale international restaurants too. One of my favorite bars in the whole country is Scar Bar, which is situated towards the southern end of the beach. This is probably one of the best places in the whole island to sit and watch the sun go down. All the beaches in the touristy part of town are southern facing, meaning you get some amazing sunsets like this right here. In terms of things to do, I would say Kata Beach is one of the best places to enjoy water sports. There's a surf school here, and it's really good for beginners. They'll really teach you how to to do it. And the beach actually does get quite wavy at some points of the year. It's also got some good snorkeling. You can do some parasailing or paragliding here too. This is the only beach on the island from where you can hike up to the Big Buddha. If you don't know, the Big Buddha is one of the biggest landmarks on the island, and from Kata Beach you can hike up through the jungle to it. Kata Beach is the area where I usually stay on the island, although when I go back now I do try and branch out and explore other parts of the island. The other area in the touristy part of town that I do want to mention is Patong, and this might be the most controversial in terms of best places to stay. This is definitely the most popular place to stay, and that brings lots of advantages and disadvantages with it. If you're looking for a quiet and relaxing beach, this is not it, but it is the area with the most to do nearby. It's easy to rent jet skis or banana boats from here, as well as paraglide and parasailing. Although it's one of the busier beaches, there are some secluded hidden beaches nearby which you can explore by scooter, like Paradise Beach or Freedom Beach. And basically anything that you want to do, you can do here on Patong Beach, like go-karting or shooting ranges or anything else that you can think of, it's probably right here. Now, this is one of the most notorious areas in the whole country for nightlife. Someone explained to me recently that Koh Phi Phi or Koh Phangan are where the young tourists go to behave badly, and Patong Beach is where middle-aged people go to behave badly, and I'd probably agree with that. This is maybe the seedier part of town, with lots of go-go bars, ping-pong shows, and strip clubs. And this is where people go to get fucked up. It's pretty much one of the most mental places you can visit, and it's mental all night, every night. Personally, I wouldn't stay here again. I think there are a lot better places to stay on the island. However, I couldn't do a list of the best places to stay in Phuket without mentioning the most notorious beach on the island. And now for something completely different, Phuket Old Town. Old Town is probably the area with the best street food on the whole island. On top of that, it's probably the best place to experience the island's history and culture, as well as some of the better markets on the island. However, there's one major disadvantage. There's no beach. If you've come to Phuket, you probably want to spend at least some time on the beach, but it is worth it to spend a night or two here. Phuket has the most Michelin-starred street food stands and restaurants in the whole of southern Thailand. Most of them are based here in the Old Town. There's a highly recommended breakfast place that serves curries and rotis in the morning. This opens really early at about 6 o'clock and closes around 11 a.m. So to get some of these street food stands, you've got to get here early. So it's better to actually stay in the area. On top of that, there's a lot of cafes to explore. In particular, I've noticed a lot of dessert places around town. So there's places specializing in making chocolate or ice cream. This is one of the more beautiful areas of the island to explore, and it's definitely got the most distinct feel to it. This is because of its history. It was first discovered by the Portuguese, so it's got this kind of mix of European and Asian architecture known as Sino-Portuguese, and you can still see it here in the town today with the colorful houses that line the streets. There's also a number of different temples of the area. Some of them are Chinese-style temples, some of them are more traditional Buddhist-style temples, so this is probably the best area to experience Thai culture as well. Personally, I think there's nowhere quite like this anywhere else in the whole of Thailand. So it's definitely worth checking out the Old Town while you're here. Cape Panwa is probably the least explored area of the island. This is the area I'd recommend if you want to go for secluded beaches. So I actually got married over this part of the island, and we chose it because it would have a much quieter atmosphere than everywhere else. But we chose this area so there wouldn't be a lot of people walking around interrupting our wedding, and that was the case. It's still a really beautiful area with stunning backdrops of the island. If you're looking for a quieter experience, this might be for you. There's definitely less in terms of nightlife. However, there are still quite a lot of beach bars or restaurants where you can sit, relax, and watch the sun go down. Ruai is the area to stay if you want to feel like a local. It's considered the expat part of town, so a lot of people actually living on the island live here. So this means there's less big hotels, but a few more guest houses. There is a beach here, which is quite nice. However, it's not west facing, meaning you won't get to experience some of the beautiful sunsets that the island's known for. There's less song towers over here, so it's best if you can rent a car or a scooter when staying here. It's a very good place to explore the rest of the island from. You're the best of both worlds in that you're near the touristy parts of Kata and Patong if you want to go experience the nightlife there, but also in between here in Cape Panwa. So you're basically in the middle of the less touristy and most touristy places. Finally, to a beach I actually haven't stayed on but have visited a few times and absolutely loved is Bang Tao Beach. Bang Tao Beach is a really nice, beautiful stretch of the island. It's for people looking for somewhere a little bit quieter than Kata or Patong, but a little more busy than Cape Panwa. Again, this is an area that doesn't have loads going on in terms of nightlife, but does have some really nice beach bars. Phuket has done quite well to keep a lot of bars and restaurants off the beach, but I found on Bang Tao Beach, there's quite a few places to sit and have a beer. It's also a great area to stay if you want to train Muay Thai. One of the best Muay Thai gyms in the whole of Thailand is Bang Tao Beach, and that's right here. So this would be the best area to train Muay Thai in the morning, then relax on the beach in the evening at. It also has the added advantage of being a bit closer to the airport. So if you're only in town for a few days, this might be the perfect spot for you. But the great thing about the islands of the Andaman is that there's so much variety. And on this trip, you can visit 2 more beach towns that have a completely different vibe to Phuket. In fact, the next island is an absolutely stunning island that is actually one of the smallest in the country, and it's called the Phi Phi Islands. Planning a trip to Koh Phi Phi, but don't know where to start? There's so much to do on the island, but most visitors don't even cover half of it. In this itinerary, I'm going to show you how to experience the island properly with a 3-day adventure that covers the best nearby islands to explore, where to find the #1 snorkeling spot in the whole of Thailand, and the beaches most tourists never even hear about. Personally, I'm more interested in how to visit Thailand's most beautiful nature spots, and this itinerary will be about showing you the best the island has to offer. Imagine drifting through emerald green waters, towering limestone cliffs on either side, and exploring hidden beaches that are only accessible by boat. Koh Phi Phi is known for having some of the best island hopping tours in Thailand. But you can't just hop on any old boat. One of the benefits of taking these tours from Koh Phi Phi as opposed to traveling a long distance from Krabi or Phuket is that you get to take the traditional Thai longtail boat. These are just a bit more fun to ride in than the bigger, louder and bumpier speedboats that people have to take when they're coming from elsewhere. But which are the best islands to visit on a tour like this? Well, Koh Phi Phi is home to one of the most iconic locations in the whole of Thailand, and it's actually just recently been reopened to the public after being closed down for a few years due to over-tourism. This beach was made famous by the Leonardo DiCaprio movie The Beach. It's every bit as stunning in person, with its crystal clear water surrounded by towering cliffs. This is Maya Bay, and it's definitely the most popular spot on the list, so if possible, try to get on a tour that heads here first. In fact, there are some tours that only come here, and they set off before 6 AM to beat the crowds, and I believe that this is the best way to see the beach. But the waters around Koh Phi Phi have a bright turquoise hue to them, unlike anywhere else in the world. The best place to experience this is the Emerald Lagoon. Emerald Lagoon's vibrant green color comes from the sunlight reflecting off the clear, mineral-rich water, especially the calcium from the surrounding limestone cliff faces. The lush greenery around the lagoon adds to the effect, giving the water its stunning emerald color, making it one of the most beautiful places to visit on the island. There's another spot that you'll visit on one of these tours that is famous for its mysterious cave paintings of Viking ships. It's unclear where these paintings came from, but they were suggested that they'd been drawn by sailors who'd been washed up on the island in a storm. This is Viking Cave, and it's unlikely the paintings were actually drawn by Vikings, but it's still a fascinating mystery. But some of these desert islands aren't actually that deserted. Monkey Beach is a small, secluded stretch of sand famous for its hungry macaques. They've lived here for generations due to the abundance of food, and the monkeys are used to interacting with visitors, so they'll often come down from the cliffs to hang out by the beach. But be careful though, they might just steal your sunglasses if you're not paying attention. There are lots of different types of boat tours that you can take. Some are half-day trips, others full day. Prices start from around 1,000 baht, but can go up considerably based on the size of the group or the type of boat you take. Koh Phi Phi is a uniquely shaped island. Most of the island is uninhabitable because of its mountainous terrain and steep cliff faces. And the area where most people actually stay and explore is all concentrated on this thin strip of land right here by the pier. In fact, the 2 beaches are only separated by about 100 meters. This means that Koh Phi Phi is home to one of the most iconic views in the whole of Thailand. By hiking up to the top of a nearby mountain, you can see where Koh Phi Phi's 2 main beaches almost meet. On a good day, you'll be able to see the turquoise waters the island is famous for, and the mountains on either side of the island. This is called the viewpoint hike, and I'd recommend doing it in the morning to avoid the heat. If you get up there early enough, you can see one of the best sunrises you'll ever see. Some people also like to come for sunset, but it does get crowded at the top. The hike only takes about 30 to 40 minutes and is clearly signposted from the center of town. But what most visitors don't realize is that you can continue on past the viewpoint hike to 2 more stunning viewpoints, which are creatively named viewpoints 2 and 3. By visiting these spots, you'll get a 360-degree view of the island and of the hidden beaches that you'll explore on day 3. Once you descend, it's time to treat yourself to some coffee and breakfast. All of the best cafes on the island are towards the entrance of the viewpoint hike and around the walking street. I recommend grabbing a bite to eat around Tonsai Pier and watching as the boats come in and out of the island. But if there's one thing you came to this island for, it's beautiful beaches, right? And Koh Phi Phi does not disappoint. There's one beach with perfect white sands and crystal clear waters stretching out in a calm, shallow bay. It's the perfect spot to chill out in, and it's absolutely beautiful with the cliff faces on either side, providing a stunning natural backdrop. The water here is so shallow and peaceful that you can actually walk out for hundreds of meters, making it ideal for wading in, swimming, or even renting a kayak to explore the bay's emerald waters. Plus, if you end up having a few too many beers, it'll probably stop you from drowning. But as it turns to nighttime, this beach shifts gears. This tranquil stretch of beach transforms into one of the liveliest nightlife spots in the country, as the beach lights up with beach bars and fire dancers. This is called Lodalum Beach, and it's one of the best spots on the island. Day 3 is all about getting off the beaten path and exploring the lesser known beaches of Koh Phi Phi. Most people who come to the island never leave the area around the pier and Lo Dalum Beach unless they're on a boat tour, but there are actually some amazing hidden beaches to explore on the main island. About a 30-minute walk from town, after a short hike through the jungle, you can reach Long Beach. This beach has a much more chill atmosphere than Lo Dalum and it's the perfect place to chill out at. But the real reason to come to this beach is that it's home to the #1 snorkeling spot in the whole of Thailand. Just a short swim away from the beach, there's a spot known as Shark Point, which is home to groups of black-tip reef sharks. Don't worry, they're harmless to humans and they're relatively small, only growing to between about 1 and 1.5 meters. At this spot, you'll also see an array of colorful starfish, brightly colored tropical fish like parrotfish, clownfish, and butterfly fish. The currents here are pretty strong, which is what attracts the sharks, so you might want to wear a life jacket just in case. Some boat tours might actually take you here as one of their stops, but it's definitely worth spending some time here on Long Beach to have a better chance of spotting sharks. But there's one more beach that lies to the far north of the island that most tourists don't even know exists. This beach is so secluded that it's perfect for the more adventurous explorers. It also has stunning coral reefs, teeming with marine life just off the coast, and the views from this beach are breathtaking. You can see some of the neighboring islands like Bamboo Island in the distance, making it a picturesque beach. This beach is perfect for renting a sea kayak and exploring some of the hidden coves in the area too. This is called Lam Thong Beach and it's located right at the northern tip of Koh Phi Phi. To get here, you can have a hike across the whole island or hop in a long-tail boat to take you there. Koh Phi Phi still has a reputation as a party island and it's definitely true to some extent, but in my opinion, it's also one of the most stunning islands in Thailand and can be enjoyed without going to all-night raves on the beach. But the next location on this Thailand itinerary is home to one of the best beaches in the whole of Thailand. Krabi is one of the coolest places in Thailand, if you know where to go. I've spent plenty of time here over the past few years and I've found that most travel guides actually miss out on some of the best things to do. So in this itinerary, I'll cover the best beaches, islands and temples to visit, the only tours actually worth doing, as well as the town's best nightlife spots. But first, you need to figure out where to stay. Well, luckily there is one location in Krabi that has easy access to some of the best beaches in the country, has the best range of accommodations, and is the place to enjoy the town's nightlife. The area I'm referring to is called Ao Nang Beach, and if possible, I try to stay either on the beachfront or on the street leading off it. I've talked in other videos about the advantages of staying near Riley Beach. However, it's not connected to the roads on the mainland, meaning you can only access it by boat, which for the purposes of this itinerary will make it more difficult to reach some of the sites that we'll visit. So I strongly recommend staying on Ao Nang. Krabi is home to over 200 islands, which begs the question, which ones are the best to explore? The most popular islands to explore by far are the Phi Phi Islands, and hundreds of people leave the Krabi mainland each day to visit them. While the Phi Phi Islands are definitely worth visiting, by visiting from the Krabi mainland you have to endure longer travel times in a noisy speedboat, which leaves you with less time to explore each location. But what if I told you there was actually a group of islands that were much closer to the mainland that were equally as stunning and much less explored? The first islands you can explore on day 1 are home to some of the most fascinating beaches in the whole of Thailand. The island of Koh Gai and Koh Tup are connected by a white sandbar. At low tide, you can freely walk across these two stunning islands. Next, you'll take a short boat ride to the best snorkeling spot in Krabi, known as Koh Gai or Chicken Island. These coral reefs are home to a beautiful array of tropical fish, including parrotfish, angelfish, and clownfish. I've previously included this spot as one of my top 10 snorkeling spots in the whole of Thailand. Despite being one of the iconic images of southern Thailand, the next island is actually not very well known. It has a towering limestone cliff face jutting straight out of the ocean, and it's home to untouched white sands. It's called Koh Poda, and you'll feel completely alone exploring this island and its blue waters. The most convenient way to explore these islands is by joining an island hopping tour, which will take you and a small group of people to each of these islands. Tours usually start from Ao Nang Beach around 8:30 AM and can be done for as low as 1,300 Thai baht. If you're interested in working with me to plan, book and manage your Thailand trip, including hotel and tour bookings, get in touch with me from our website link below. You should arrive back on the mainland just in time to catch the sunset at Ao Nang Beach. But in the evening, it's time to hit the town. Probably the best and cheapest place to experience Thai food in Krabi is at Krabi Night Market. Here you'll be able to sample some of the most delicious Thai dishes, including noodles, fried chicken, curries and rotis, all while enjoying a few beers. Whilst Krabi is not known for having quite as wild a nightlife as places like Phuket or Koh Phangan, there is still plenty going on in the town. All of the best spots can be found in Ao Nang. There are plenty of bars along the beachfront to explore, as well as Soi RCA if you want to carry on further into the night. I've spent almost 10 years living in Asia. And in that time, I've explored some of the best beaches the continent has to offer. For a long time, I thought I'd seen it all, and I couldn't be surprised by beaches anymore. That was until I came to Krabi. Krabi is home to arguably the single best beach to explore in Southeast Asia. Its beauty comes from its towering mountain backdrop with stunning cliff faces at either end of the beach. The beach is Krabi's most iconic spot, and it's known as Riley Beach. And as part of this 2-day itinerary, I'll show you the best places to eat and drink, the hidden beaches and caves to explore, and how to spot some of the beach's most elusive wildlife. The thing that most people don't realize about visiting Riley is that the journey to get there is actually one of the most exciting parts of the trip. To get there, you'll first need to head to Ao Nang Beach, and from here it shouldn't be too difficult to spot a long-tail boat ticket vendor where you can buy a ticket for about 100 baht one way. Boats only leave once they've filled up, but this usually takes no more than 20 minutes. Once you're on the boat, you'll whiz past mountains and cliff faces as well as other boats for one of the most scenic journeys you'll ever take. So I'd recommend having your camera ready. The journey takes approximately 20 minutes to arrive at the beach. Once you arrive there, you can spend a few hours exploring the beach itself, but there is much more to explore here than most people realize. If you're hungry or need a few beers, the best place to grab something is on Riley Walking Street, a winding jungle path that'll take you past bars, restaurants, and coffee shops. But the reason I like Riley so much is that this is an adventure lover's paradise. There's some fantastic hiking routes around here, and inside the jungle there's some amazing wildlife to spot. If you've already spent a bit of time in Thailand, you've probably already seen this type of monkey here called a macaque. But Riley is home to a much rarer type of monkey. They are much friendlier than the macaques, so far less likely to attack. They travel in troops, so you can try to spot them from a distance by seeing them play with each other in the tree branches, and they're called dusky leaf monkeys. And they can be identified by their black fur and white rings around their eyes and mouth. But if that's not adventurous enough for you, Riley is home to some of the best rock climbing spots in Southeast Asia. Half-day rock climbing activities cost around 1,500 baht, and it's possible to learn here even if you've never done rock climbing before. If that's not your thing, you can also explore inside the mountains. Diamond Cave will take you deep inside the mountains so you can admire the maze of rock formations that have been formed over millions of years. But there is one cave that holds an important place in Thai folklore and mythology. This cave is believed to be home to the spirit of Phra Nang, and fishermen and local people have come to this cave to make offerings to the spirit in hopes of receiving blessings for safe boat journeys. What kind of gifts do they give a sea goddess, you might ask? That's right, you guessed it, it's a penis. Phra Nang Cave is home to hundreds of wooden penis carvings, which are seen as a symbol of fertility in Thailand. If you keep exploring past the caves, you'll find a number of other hidden beaches to explore that most tourists are unaware even exist. There is one beach famous for its stunning mangrove trees that grow out of the salt water, but there's also much less explored Phra Nang Beach and Riley East to chill out in. Make sure to get the boat back to Ao Nang before 6 p.m, which is when most boats stop running, so make sure you're on one unless you want to spend the night on the beach. In the evening, it's time for something completely different. Krabi is home to one of the most unique shows in Thailand. The Blue Dragon Cabaret Show is an hour-long musical and dance show with a twist. All the performers in the show are transgender ladyboys, known in Thailand as Katoi. This is one of the biggest shows in southern Thailand, and this one is known for its mix of Thai and Western cultures. To be clear, this is a mostly PG-rated show. Performances take place up to 3 times a night and cost 600 baht. But if you're looking for a more violent affair, Krabi is home at one of the bigger Muay Thai stadiums in southern Thailand. Tickets cost around 1,000 baht and fights take place every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. There is much more to Krabi than beaches and islands to explore though. On day 3, we're going to head inland to find some of the coolest sights in southern Thailand. The first thing you realize as you explore the mainland is that the landscapes are like nowhere you've ever seen before. The mountain landscapes that you saw at the beach continues further backwards, and the drive to the first site will take you on a journey through the mountains. The first destination of the day is one of the most sacred temples in southern Thailand. As you arrive, you'll be greeted by a steep climb of 1,260 steps, which is a challenging climb, but you can stop along the way to admire some of the shrines and monuments. At the top of the staircase, visitors are greeted by a large golden Buddha statue and a small pagoda. The summit offers breathtaking 360-degree panoramic views of Krabi's lush rainforest, limestone cliffs, and distant islands. The temple is known as Tiger Cave Temple, as in the past tigers were known to roam the area. And it's likely you'll get to see monks going about their daily routines at the top of the mountain. Not far from Tiger Cave Temple is a national park that will take you to a unique location unlike anything else in Thailand. In the middle of the jungle, there's a thermal hot spring. The Emerald Pool is known for its stunning turquoise green water. The water is crystal clear, making it a perfect spot to swim in. Right nearby the Emerald Pool, though, is another natural wonder called the Blue Pool. However, swimming is not allowed in the Blue Pool due to its fragile ecosystem. To access these pools, it costs around 400 baht. But one of the most unique experiences on the Krabi mainland will take you to the mangrove forests. And the best way to explore these areas is by renting a kayak. You can do this on your own or through a guided tour, which will take you through the mangroves, jungles, and rivers. After visiting Krabi, you're going to want to explore some of the stunning islands that Thailand has to offer. Watch this video here and find out the top 10 islands to visit in Thailand, including the one island most tourists have never heard of.